The massacre. The day the Empire crossed the line. The sky above Colony 12 was blue and calm. Birds flew over the green trees, and children laughed in the schoolyard. It was just another peaceful day on one of humanity's faraway worlds. Teacher. Lena stood near the window of her classroom, watching her students draw pictures. They were happy. Innocent. The colony had been safe for years. No crime. No war. Just families building a future. But peace can be a lie. At 11:13 a.m., the first alarm went off. A loud siren screamed through the colony. Lena froze. The children looked up confused. "Miss Lena, what's happening?" one small boy asked. Lena rushed to the window. In the sky above, black dots appeared, dozens of them. At first, they looked like birds, but then they grew larger, sharper. They were Empire warships. Commander Zarek of the Empire stood on the bridge of the dreadship Razor. His face was cold. No emotion. Behind him, his crew waited for the order. "The humans sent a message," he said, "but they forgot who rules this galaxy." "Should we target military zones only?" a young officer asked. Zarek shook his head. "No, this time we strike the heart." His finger hovered over the command screen. "Begin the purge." Back on Colony 12, panic filled the streets. Parents screamed. People ran. But there was nowhere to hide. The ships above opened fire. Energy beams lit up the sky like falling stars. But they did not bring wishes. They brought death. The school was hit first, a direct blast. It vanished in seconds. The laughter, the colors, the drawings, turned to smoke. In other parts of the colony, buildings fell like paper, streets cracked, bodies burned. The ground shook under the force of the attack. A small child crawled out from the rubble covered in dust, crying for her mother. Another tried to wake his brother, not knowing he was already gone. From orbit, the Empire watched in silence. "How many targets destroyed?" Zarek asked. "Approximately 800,000, the officer replied. "All children?" Zarek confirmed. "Yes, sir. All under the age of 15. Zarek nodded. "Good. Let them grieve. Fear is stronger than war." The ships turned and vanished into the stars, leaving nothing but ashes behind. On Earth, a signal arrived. A technician in the global defense room opened the file. It was from Colony 12. Only 10 seconds of footage. Shaky camera. Screams. Then, silence. The President of Earth watched it alone. Her hands trembled. "How many?" she asked. A voice answered, 800,000. All children, no survivors. There was a long pause. She looked out the window at the human flag flying high. "Prepare a message for the Galactic Council," she said. "And what should it say?" The President turned, eyes full of quiet rage. "It says humanity is done talking." The news spread fast. Across Earth, billions cried. Candles lit streets in every city. Names of the lost were read out loud for hours. Mothers held empty cribs. Fathers stared at broken toys. There was no war yet. But something had changed. Humans were not the same anymore. The galaxy watched, some with fear, some with pity. The Empire said it was a warning, a punishment for humans expanding too fast, too far. But others whispered behind closed doors. They killed children. This wasn't war. This was murder. In a dark room deep under Earth's surface, generals met. They looked at old files, blueprints, weapons, plans never used. "The Council will ask us to wait," one said. "They'll want peace," another added. "Peace is over," the commander replied. He opened a screen that showed a secret project, Operation Iron Shadow. "Activate it." Someone asked, "Are we really doing this?" The commander nodded. "They killed our future. Now, we burn theirs." In space, near the ruins of Colony 12, a lone human drone floated among the wreckage. It recorded everything. The destroyed school. The toys melted into the ground, the small shoes. The silence. Then it sent a signal back to Earth. A voice played with it. A message. They came in silence. They killed without mercy. But they forgot one thing. Humans never forget. The Council's mistake. They told us to stay. Down. We stood up. The chamber of voices stood high above the clouds of Solarian 5. This was the heart of the Galactic Council, a place of peace, law, and negotiation. Marble floors reflected golden lights. Giant flags of every known species hung from the domed ceiling. But today the silence inside was different. Today, humanity had come in mourning. Earth's ambassador, Elena Kai, walked into the room wearing black armor, not a dress, not a robe. Her eyes were cold, her face unreadable. Behind her were 2 silent guards and a hologram projector carrying something no one had seen yet. The head of the council, a tall creature with silver skin and 6 eyes, stood from his throne. Ambassador Kai, we welcome you, he said carefully. She didn't smile. I did not come for welcome. I came for justice. Around her, other alien ambassadors exchanged glances. Some looked nervous, others annoyed. A large reptilian ambassador from the Empire leaned forward. With respect, he said, Earth is still young in the stars. Mistakes happen. You must not overreact. Kai's eyes met his like ice. Mistakes, she whispered. She activated the hologram. A massive image appeared in the center of the room. The council saw it. Burned bodies. Schoolyards turned to ash. Tiny shoes. Melted playgrounds. No one spoke. Then the projector played the sound. Children screaming. Sirens. Mother crying. This, Kai said, is not a mistake. This is a massacre. The chamber broke into noise. We should form a committee. Let's investigate the Empire's reasons. Maybe humans provoked them? Kai raised her voice over them all. 800,000 human children were murdered. And you're discussing paperwork? The council's head tried to calm things. We understand your pain. No, Kai cut in. You don't. Because if it had been your species, you'd already be at war. The Empire ambassador stood. This is not the way. Humans must respect galactic law. Retaliation is forbidden without council approval. Kai took a deep breath. Then calmly she said, Then I withdraw Earth from the council. Gasps filled the hall. You can't. We can. And we just did. Outside the chamber, news spread like wildfire. Earth had left the Galactic Council. Some races cheered in secret. Others shook in fear. No one had ever walked out on the council before. Certainly not humans. But deep in their hearts, many knew. Humanity would not stop here. In the black vault beneath Earth's capital, 12 people met in darkness. These were not politicians. They were architects of war, ghosts in uniforms, the kind of men and women who hadn't been needed in decades. Now they had returned. A screen lit up, showing Kai's face. Diplomacy failed, she said. We were hoping it would, replied one general. The room buzzed to life. Plans were laid out. Enemy weaknesses, Empire trade routes, assassination targets, and then the main plan. Project Echo Silence, a campaign of invisible destruction. Not full-scale war, not yet. This would be something else, something worse. Meanwhile, in a quiet corner of Empire space, a noble sat in his palace. He sipped a glowing drink, proud of what the Empire had done. He had ordered the colony attack himself. Humans are too emotional, he told his advisor. They will cry, not fight. Just then his lights flickered. He frowned. Checked the power, but no one answered. He walked into the hall, empty, quiet, too quiet. A strange symbol was painted on the wall, a small child's handprint, in blood red paint. He backed away. Then from the shadows a figure appeared, black armor, human, silent. The noble screamed. The screen went black. The next day, his palace was gone. No explosions, no reports. Just Gone. In its place, a message burned into the stone. For the 800,000. Back on Earth, people watched this news with wide eyes. The government didn't admit anything, but everyone knew. Humanity had started its own justice, not through courts, but through shadows. A small girl sat by her window in New London, holding a photo of her younger brother who died on Colony 12. She watched a ship fly through the sky. Her father came in, kissed her forehead. "Will the bad people be punished?" she asked. He looked out the window. They already are. Meanwhile, in the Empire's capital, panic had begun. Important officials were disappearing. Starports were hacked. Food shipments exploded mid-flight. Fear spread like poison, but there was no clear attacker, no army, no demands, just whispers. The humans are coming. Back in the council chamber, the six-eyed leader sighed. "We warned them not to push Earth," he muttered. An assistant asked, "Should we stop them?" He looked. "Out the window. We tried." He paused. "Now we just pray they stop themselves." The first strike. A message written in fire. The outer rim of Empire territory was known for its silence. Cold moons, mining stations, border patrols. Nothing unusual ever happened there. Most Empire soldiers posted in these zones were lazy, bored, or being punished for past mistakes. But one station, Krell 9, was different. It became the first to burn. Night had fallen across the icy surface of Krell 9. Inside the fortress, a squad of Empire soldiers sat around a fire, laughing. A hologram of a game flickered in the air. No one watched the scanners. They thought they were safe. Suddenly, the power flickered. Once, twice. Then the lights died. Darkness. "What's going on?" one soldier asked. No answer. Then came a sound none of them recognized. A deep, distant hum. A soldier checked the radar. Nothing. Then static. Then footsteps. Loud. Metallic. Slow. "We're under attack," someone shouted. But it was too late. Through the walls came shadows in human armor. No insignias, no faces, no voices. They moved like ghosts. Within 2 minutes, everyone inside was dead. At Empire Command, a red alert flashed on the main screen. "Station Krell 9 lost, no survivors." Admiral Thorvek slammed his fist on the table. "How? Who?" No one answered. Then a video played, short, grainy, recorded by a dying camera inside the base. One of the last images, a soldier's hand, reaching toward the camera covered in blood. Behind him, written on the wall with fire, "For the 800,000. Within 3 days, 5 more stations were gone. No witnesses, no alarms, no survivors. Just the same message. Always the same. For the 800,000. The Empire had faced wars before, but never like this. This wasn't a war. This was surgical vengeance. In a hidden base near Mars, a team of human operatives removed their helmets. No celebration. No high fives. Only silence. "Next target confirmed," their commander said. A name appeared on the screen. General Zavarin, the one who had signed off on the original attack on Colony 12 location. Undisclosed. Deep inside Empire capital territory. The mission was suicide. They accepted it anyway. "We're not soldiers anymore," one operative said. "We're the reckoning." Meanwhile, the Galactic Council sat in chaos. Worlds were terrified. "They're striking inside Empire borders," shouted one ambassador. "We must stop them before they reach the capital." But no one moved. No one dared, because deep down every race remembered what humans were before peace. Fighters, survivors, monsters, when pushed. "What do they want?" asked one council member. Another whispered, "They want to be heard." "So, what's the message?" Silence. Then someone said what everyone feared. Never hurt their children. In a floating station far from the conflict, a merchant captain received a strange signal, a human child's voice. "Do you remember their names?" it asked. Then a list of names began to play. Thousands. All children. He turned off the signal. "But It had already reached billions. People across the galaxy began to listen. Many wept. Others became afraid. This was no longer just about revenge. This was psychological warfare, and humanity was winning it. On a moon called Trizar, General Zavarin, hid in an underground bunker, guarded by drones, tanks, energy shields. He thought he was safe. He wasn't. One night, the guards outside vanished. Silently. One by one, the cameras went black. Then the power failed. Zavarin sat in his room, sweating, holding a plasma gun. Then, he heard the sound a child's voice coming from his own communicator. "Do you remember us?" He screamed and fired at the walls, but it didn't matter. They came anyway. The bunker exploded at sunrise. No body was found, but his empty helmet was left outside the Empire Senate the next morning. Inside it was a photo of a child from Colony 12 across the Empire, morale shattered. Soldiers refused to patrol, officers resigned. Fear ruled every corner. Yet Earth still said nothing. No announcements, no claims, just silence. Earth's president stood in front of a black wall in her war room. One name disappeared from the list, then another, then another. They weren't just getting revenge. They were sending a message to every star. We don't need your help. We don't need your permission. We are humanity. And we are not afraid anymore. In a quiet starport, a young Empire pilot refused to board her ship. When asked why, she said, "I had a dream. A human child was standing in my room. He didn't speak, he just looked at me, and I felt shame." The first strike was over, but it wasn't the last. The galaxy now knew. Earth was not attacking the Empire. Earth was hunting it. The traitor among us. Not all enemies are alien. The Black Sun shipyard orbited Saturn's third moon like a predator in the shadows. It was one of Earth's most secure military sites, hidden behind encrypted cloaks and armed with weapons no other race dared even study. This was where humanity built its vengeance. But on the 47th night of the war, it burned, not by enemy hands, but by one of their own. Commander Hal Drace stood in the control room, watching in horror as flames consumed the eastern hangars. Ships meant to strike the Empire crumbled in the fire. Engineers screamed, alarms blared, and oxygen seals hissed open, like dying lungs. Internal breach. Someone shouted. "Who did this?" Drace demanded. There was silence. Then a voice spoke from the shadows. "Someone who thinks we've already lost." 5 hours earlier, Agent Karen Valen sat alone in her quarters aboard the Lunar Fleet Command. She was one of the youngest intelligence officers ever recruited. Quiet, precise, brilliant, but not loyal. Not anymore. On her screen, a hidden message blinked. "They killed your sister, but they will kill billions more. Stop them before they stop us all." She hesitated, then pressed send. On the surface, she was just another patriot. Inside, she believed humanity had gone too far. She believed they were becoming monsters, and she was not the only one. On Earth, the president stared at a cracked glass table. The reports were clear now. Someone had leaked coordinates. A sabotage. "You think it's alien spies?" she asked her inner circle. General Rukov shook his head. "No, it's worse. It's a human." "Why?" He didn't answer. Because he knew. Some people believed this war had no end. Some believed the 800,000 were already avenged, and some were afraid of what humanity was becoming. In a hidden base under Iceland, a secret trial was held. Agent Valen stood in chains. Her face showed no fear. Kai, the same ambassador who had walked out of the council weeks ago, stood before her. "You gave enemy access to our fleet plans," Kai said. "Hundreds died, ships lost, and for what?" Valen looked up slowly. "You've become what you hate," she whispered. Kai stepped closer. "They murdered our children." Valen didn't blink. "So now we murder theirs? Is that justice? Or is it just revenge in a new uniform?" For a moment, the room was silent. Then Kai turned away, but her hands were shaking. That night, a vote was held. Valen was sentenced to life in cryostasis. not death. Not yet. Some said it was mercy. Others said it was guilt. But the damage was done. Within days, more whispers rose. A scientist on Mars refused to build weapons. A pilot on Neptune's ring crashed his own ship during a bombing run. On purpose, a whole unit refused to execute a high-value Empire target who was holding children as shields. Humanity was not breaking, but it was cracking. Meanwhile, in the Empire, fear had turned into obsession. They began purging their own officers, afraid of spies. Trust collapsed. Cities turned inward. Even the Emperor stopped appearing in public. And that's when the humans struck again, but this time, differently. A famous Empire broadcasting station suddenly lit up with a live feed. No one knew how it was hacked. No one stopped it. And then, across 1,000 systems, they saw a dark room, a chair, and a human woman sitting in it. Ambassador Kai, she spoke slowly, calmly. "We never wanted war," she said. "We wanted peace. You gave us silence." A screen behind her lit up, images of Colony 12, the dead, the children. "You taught us something that day," she said. "That peace built on fear is not peace." She leaned closer. "But let me tell you what fear really looks like." And the screen changed. To the Empire's destroyed outposts. Their generals' helmets, their empty cities. "This is not war," Kai said. "This is what happens when you cross a line." The feed cut. The galaxy sat frozen. Because it wasn't just a threat. It was a warning. To the Empire. And to those within humanity who still doubted the path forward. On the same night, an encrypted message was found inside Earth's main system. No one knew who sent it. It simply said, "Your traitors will destroy you from within, just like ours destroyed us. Purge them or be purged." Signed, former Empire Intelligence Chief, now in hiding. The council met again. This time, in fear. One voice spoke what others wouldn't. What if the traitor was right? An avian diplomat asked, "What if the humans are going too far?" The head of the council closed his eyes. "Then it's too late to stop them." But humanity wasn't a monster, not yet. It was something else, something the galaxy hadn't seen in a long time, a wounded parent, with a loaded gun, and nothing left to lose. Rise of the Iron Suns, humanity's silent army. It began with a whisper, a myth among Empire soldiers, a story shared in hushed voices during long night watches. They spoke of shadows that walked like men, but did not bleed like men. They spoke of the Iron Suns. The first official report came from Outpost Serac 12, deep inside Empire-controlled space. A mining moon, low security, mostly engineers. The Empire received a distress signal at 0322 Galactic time. We don't know what they are. They're not alive. They're not talking. They just keep coming." The signal cut. When Imperial scouts arrived 6 hours later, they found the outpost abandoned. No survivors. No bodies. No sign of battle. Only one thing remained. A child's drawing, pinned to the wall. Crayon. Stick figures. A human. Child holding hands with a tall figure of black metal, and beneath it written in perfect block letters, "We remember." On Earth, deep beneath the surface, Project Iron Suns had been silent for 20 years. It was never meant to be used, a forbidden creation born after the First Contact War. An army of biomechanical soldiers, flesh, metal, memory chips. They were built with no emotions, but their minds were programmed with every known memory of pain from human history, from holocausts to Colony 12. Their creators had given them a mission, should they ever be awakened, end the threat to our children. At any cost. The decision to activate them came quietly. No speech, no orders broadcast, just a silent key turned by Earth's High Commander. Within hours, 200,000 Iron Suns left their deep vaults, each stepping forward in complete silence. No words, no names, just numbers, Unit 001 to Unit 200,000 each one held in their memory. The last moments of the children who had died, Each one carried them like ghosts. Their first mission was surgical. The Empire's child training academy on Luxor 7, where young Imperial officers were raised and brainwashed, was their target. The academy was known for producing future war masters. The attack lasted 4 minutes. No alarms triggered. No defenses activated. Satellite footage caught only a glimpse. A wave of black metal figures walking through walls, phasing through security fields, dragging no weapons, only their hands. They didn't destroy the building. They emptied it. When the Imperial forces arrived, the academy was untouched. But every cadet was gone, and on the walls written in blood-red heat marks. A lesson returned. The Empire began to break. "We cannot fight machines," a senator cried in the chamber. "They don't sleep. They don't stop. They don't feel." A general replied, "They are not machines. They are memories given metal, and memories can't be killed." Some Empire soldiers began deserting. Others committed suicide, believing they would be hunted next. But it wasn't just fear that was spreading. Doubt was the true enemy now. One by one, outer planets began to cut ties with the Empire, afraid to be caught in the Iron Sun's path. On Earth, public broadcasts were paused. All screens went dark for a day, then a single video played, a voice. Emotionless, but human. "You killed 800,000 children. You sent fire to our homes. Now, we send back silence." The video showed images of the Iron Suns walking across burned fields, untouched by fire, emotionless under falling debris. The final frame showed a small boy's photo from Colony 12. Placed inside the chest cavity of an Iron Sun unit, and one line, "They live through us now." On a hidden Empire planet, a small girl saw the video. She was half human. A secret. Her father was an Empire official. He tried to turn off the screen. "But," the girl whispered, "they look like angels." He froze. Because for the first time in his life, he wasn't sure if the humans were the monsters anymore. The Galactic Council, broken and powerless, held a secret meeting. "They are becoming gods," one elder whispered. "No," another said, voice shaking. "They are becoming what we all feared humans could be, when they stop holding back." No one argued. Deep in the Empire's capital, the Emperor finally spoke after weeks of silence. "We created this. Now we face it. Every empire ends. Ours ends. In silence." But even he didn't know that something worse was coming, because the Iron Suns were only Phase 2. Phase 3 was already being built, and this time, they wouldn't be silent. They would speak the names of the dead. Every single time. And across Earth, in every city, a countdown had started, but no one knew what it was counting down to. The final battle begins. Earth's answer. The stars above the Empire's capital planet, Valerian, once shone like jewels. Now they looked like crosshairs. Deep inside a command bunker beneath New Earth, the silence was heavy. A single countdown blinked on the wall. 4 days, 12 hours, 06 minutes. No one spoke. They all knew what it meant. In 4 days, the Iron Suns would complete their positioning, and Earth would launch Operation Ashfall, the final assault. The war would no longer be shadows and whispers. It would be fire and sky and ruin. President May Solari stood alone in her office. The room was quiet. The lights were dimmed. In front of her, a simple photo frame. It showed a boy with brown hair standing in front of a school. Her son, one of the $800,000. She pressed a small button beneath the frame. It projected a hologram message he'd once recorded. "Hi, Mom. I miss you. I'm building a robot in class today. Love you." She shut it off before it finished, not because she couldn't bear it, but because she couldn't let herself feel it right now. She turned to her military advisor. "Are we ready?" she asked. He nodded slowly. "Our fleets are in position. Iron Suns have infiltrated the outer ring of Valerian. They've shut down their defense grid from inside." She looked out the window at the dark sky. "Then it's time to answer. Across The galaxy, the message spread. Earth wasn't launching a battle. Earth was ending the war. But even within humanity, some hesitated. On the battleship Crucible, orbiting Neptune, Captain Elias Kane received a secret message from a child, a young girl from a neutral world. Please don't hurt them all. Not all of them are bad. He stared at it for hours, then deleted it. But the words stayed in his mind, because deep down he feared. Maybe they were going too far. Maybe revenge had become hunger, and maybe humanity couldn't stop anymore. In the Empire capital, the Emperor stood on the edge of his balcony watching the stars. His advisors begged him to evacuate. They will strike the planet itself, one warned. It's not like the others. This is extinction level. The Emperor raised a hand. We lit the fire, he said. Now we burn with it. Then he whispered something none of them expected. Tell the civilians to run. Even if they're not worth saving, their children are. The Empire scrambled. Shields failed. Communications broke. They tried to negotiate. They tried to surrender. But no one on Earth answered. Not because they didn't hear. Because they didn't care. Then, 2 days before the strike, something unexpected happened. A signal reached Earth's command. Not from an Empire general. Not from a council member. But from a child. Her name was Leah Valren. Age, 9. Half human, half Empire. She sent a message from a refugee shuttle orbiting Valerian's moon. Please, don't kill everyone. I didn't hurt anyone. I just want to grow up. The message played in every war room across Earth. Soldiers stared at the screen. Officers turned away. Even the Iron Suns paused. Their code was simple. No mercy, no negotiation. But they were still built by human hands, and somewhere inside their programming, grief made room for guilt. Commander Drace, leader of the assault force, approached President Solari in her private chamber. We received the girl's message, he said. And, he hesitated. Do we spare them? She looked up, tired, not angry, just worn. If we do, will it bring our children back? No. Then they burn. He didn't argue, because he couldn't. But that night, he sent the girl's message, back to every ship, every Iron Sun unit, every pilot, no order. Just her voice, a simple choice. Remember why you fight, or remember who you are. On the day of the strike, the human fleet darkened the sky over Valerian. Thousands of ships, Iron Suns already inside the capital, ready to disable the core reactors. A voice crackled over the Empire's emergency system. This is Commander Drace. This is for the 800,000, and for the silence that followed. Earth is done asking. Earth is done waiting. Earth is answering now. Then silence. No attack. No drop. Just stillness. Humanity hesitated, and in that pause something broke. The Iron Suns stopped. They didn't shut down. They knelt. All across the Empire capital. They dropped their weapons. They formed a line, and played a single sound through their built-in speakers. The names of the 800,000 children, one by one. Slow, clear. It echoed through the cities, through bunkers, through silence. And the Empire wept, because it was not fire that destroyed them. It was the sound of every life they took. Earth didn't launch the final attack that day. It didn't have to. The Empire fell, not by force, but by the weight of its own guilt. And the Iron Suns stood as a monument, not of war, but of memory. On the refugee ship, Leah Valren listened to the final name. Then, whispered a thank you. Humanity's final warning. We are not peaceful anymore. The stars did not cheer. They simply watched. Cold, silent, ancient, as the most feared empire in the galaxy, once rulers, once gods, fell to its knees, not with explosions, not with fire, but with a silence so loud the entire galaxy heard it, a silence filled with the names of 800,000 children, one by one, spoken by machines that never forgot. Across Valerian, the former imperial capital, the Iron Suns stood still, tall black figures of steel and memory. They didn't move. They didn't kill. They simply repeated the names. The Empire's streets were filled with soldiers, civilians, politicians, all on their knees, some weeping, some staring blankly. And around them, the shadows of the children they once ignored came alive. Not as ghosts, but as consequences. High above the ruined cities in Earth's flagship Sol Requiem, President May, Solari looked down at the trembling planet. Behind her, generals stood ready. "One word," one whispered, "and we end it." Solari didn't speak. Not yet. On the screen in front of her, a single iron sun unit, Unit 01, opened its chest cavity. Inside, a photo of a little girl, missing front teeth, smiling wide. Burned at Colony 12, Unit 001, looked into the nearest surveillance drone, and then, for the first time in the war, it spoke. "We do not forgive, we do not forget. But we remember what it means to be human." And then it powered down. One by one, the other iron suns followed. Across the planet, they collapsed to their knees. Then, stillness. They weren't destroyed. They were choosing to rest because their mission was complete, not to kill, but to make the universe remember. Earth didn't fire a final shot. There was no need, because the message was louder than war, and now the galaxy couldn't look away. The Galactic Council held an emergency session 2 days later, but they didn't call it a council. They called it what it was: a confession. The reptilian speaker of the Eastern systems stood first. "We failed," he said. "We watched children burn, and we did nothing." Another ambassador, once critical of Earth, lowered her head. "We saw them only as brutes, war-born, savage." She paused, "But they became our conscience." A vote was called. A new law passed. The Solari Doctrine. Any species that harms human children, even one, will face total exclusion from galactic trade, diplomacy, and aid, and will be left alone. With humanity, it passed. Unanimously. Years later, a monument was built on Valerian's surface. Not of the Empire, but of a small girl holding hands with an iron sun. Underneath, 4 simple words: "Never again, or else." A classroom on a distant neutral planet, a teacher spoke to her students. Once humanity was mocked, feared, underestimated. She clicked a holoscreen. The image of Earth's black fleet filled the room. Then they lost their children. The class went quiet. And when that happened, they reminded us who they really are. Some still call them monsters. Some call them heroes. But most just call them a warning. On Earth, President Solari finally retired. She left her office. Without celebration, no parades, no medals, just one moment. She walked to her son's grave, knelt and whispered, "We did it. We made them see you." A breeze passed through the trees. For the first time in years, it felt like peace. Not forced peace, earned peace. In the deepest part of space, in a dead system once home to the Empire's darkest weapons, a beacon activated. Only one message played on repeat. "If you hear this and you're thinking of touching Earth, remember what we became. We were peaceful once, we are not peaceful anymore. This is humanity's final warning."